Well, I guess as my Tony Stark goatee starts to take form, I guess I should talk about Iron Man 2. Hey guys, JamesMCD Reviews here, and welcome back to Marvel Month. We are now 2 movies in to this massive marathon, and we're going to continue on today talking about Iron Man 2, released in 2010, directed by Jon Favreau. In this movie, Tony Stark is back after revealing to the world that he is Iron Man, and now he is dealing with the fame and attention that comes with it. But the government and business rival Justin Hammer, played by Sam Rockwell, wants to access this technology so it can be used as a weapon in military combat. But it turns out that Hammer is in cahoots with this Russian guy, played by Mickey Rourke, who wants to use the drones he's developing to cause mass destruction. But while that's going on, the arc reactor in Tony's chest is slowly killing him, and he needs to find a new source of power to keep him alive while also trying to stop Rourke and Hammer. If you could believe it, that is only a small portion of what actually goes on in this movie. I didn't even mention Tony discovering new stuff about his father, promoting Pepper Potts to CEO of the company, the introduction of Black Widow, played by Scarlett Johansson. The Russian guy has a bird. Rhodey is now played by a different actor and helping to develop new war machines. I mean, there is so much going on in this movie, it is ridiculous. Now, I know that when this movie first came out, a lot of people really did not like it. People claimed it was one of the worst Marvel movies ever made. People really just didn't like it, and especially when compared to the first Iron Man, you know, they just said it was not nearly as good. And I'm here to say right up front, it's really not that bad. Is it good? Not necessarily, but worst Marvel movie ever made? I don't know about that. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of things wrong with the movie. First of all, the movie is way too crowded. There is so much going on, it's really impossible to keep track between multiple subplots, multiple characters, and it just seems like unnecessary filler, a lot of which could be cut out without missing really anything. Once again, the villain is just another butthurt business guy in a suit, which we already saw in the first movie. Even though I think Sam Rockwell does a pretty good job, he does not have any motivation aside from just wanting to be ahead of Tony Stark's company. But I mean, even that's easier to understand than friggin' Mickey Rourke's motivation. Like, does he even have any motivation? He just kind of, you know, does things. So once again, we have 2 very weak villains. And adding on to the villains not having any real motivation, a lot of the characters don't really develop all that much. I mean, with Tony, he kind of, you know, realizes the importance of, you know, his friends and his people and stuff like that, and he realizes that his father wasn't like the jerk that he made him out to be. But that's really it. I mean, you know, Black Widow, I'm really glad that they did her better in some of the other movies because she barely gets anything to do. The whole subplot with Pepper wanting to run the company really doesn't go anywhere. At the end, she ends up just turning it down because it's too overwhelming for her. There's another subplot that I didn't mention with Nick Fury and Coulson, you know, trying to keep tabs on Tony Stark to see if he's, you know, eligible or worthy to be in the Avengers, carrying on that after credits thing from the first Iron Man. And on top of that, this is the movie that starts kind of the downward spiral that is Tony Stark's character. He's not awful yet, but he does do some really jerky, not smart things. Like, this guy is supposed to be a genius, and he just, in this movie, kind of takes a step backwards and, like, pretty much forgets about everything that he learned in the first movie, and he just does, you know, he does a bunch of things that just to get attention, and he gets drunk, and he's always constantly trying to convince people that he knows what he's doing when he clearly doesn't, and He even has to have, you know, his best friend in Colonel James Rhodes, you know, beat the sense into him to convince him, you know, to get his act together. That was kind of irritating to watch. So yeah, the way that I'm talking about it seems pretty negative and sounds like it would not be very good, but like I said, there is some good things about it. The action is still really cool and really fun. The performances, for the most part, are really good. I really like the recasting of Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle for Rhodey. I think he does a really good job. He's a really, you know, welcome replacement. And also, as much as I talk crap about his character, Robert Downey Jr. is still so damn entertaining to watch as Iron Man. And even though he does make some, you know, pretty stupid decisions and like pretty out there choices, it does feel in line with his character at this point. You know, he's slowly dying. He's just trying to like live it up for as long as he can, and basically just like ignore the problem. But you know, it's also nice to see him like come to his senses in the end. It's kind of hard to say, you know, how good or how bad this movie is, because a lot of the problems that I listed, a lot of people don't realize were also problems with the first Iron Man, but since the first Iron Man was done a little bit better, people just sort of like shrugged it off and didn't really notice. But this one, since, you know, it is a lot more of the same and people are starting to catch on, it's kind of hard to, you know, judge which is better and which isn't. But like I said, even though the movie has some really huge problems, it's not the worst thing ever. It's not really that bad. I mean, compared to freaking Incredible Hulk yesterday, this is nothing. Like, I had a much easier time getting through this than I did Incredible Hulk. So take that for what it's worth. So yeah, well, it's definitely not one of my favorites, and it has a lot of problems that really bug me. The movie is fine. It's okay. It's passable. Like I said, definitely not as good as the first one, but still, there are parts of it that are still really enjoyable. So if I had to rate it, I'd probably give it 2.5 or a 3 out of 5. And so that does it for another episode of Marvel Month. Tune in tomorrow when I'll be talking about the next Avenger to be introduced into this universe, Thor. But anyway, let me know down in the comments what you thought of Iron Man 2 when you first saw it. How does it hold up now that you've watched it years later? Where does it rank on your list of best to worst Marvel movies? And how does it compare to the first Iron Man? Like, which do you think is better, Iron Man or Iron Man 2? Apart from that, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date on what I'm posting. Follow me on all my social media, subscribe to my main channel, everything you need to know will be in the description. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.